YouTube, my name is Jake Asman. Happy Monday and welcome into my channel. A lot going on with the New York Jets. Certainly, we have to talk about the performance by Zach Wilson against the Green Bay Packers on Saturday. We will hit on the latest as far as the report from ESPN's Adam Schefter that the Jets are looking to add a pass rusher to replace Carl Lawson. We'll talk more about the game and much more. But first, please subscribe down below if you don't already. Thanks to all of you who continue to reach out and watch these videos every single day. I greatly appreciate it. If you are not a subscriber, what are you waiting for, folks? Come on. So please subscribe. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. If you already subscribed, please like this video down below and feel free to comment your thoughts afterwards. All right, a lot to cover here. Let's start with Zach Wilson because he is clearly the story for the Jets this season. And so far, through 2 preseason games, he's been the story of the summer for the New York Jets. Let's get to his actual performance against the Packers, right? Zach Wilson goes out there, and I thought he was surgical against Green Bay. 9 of 11, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns against the Packers. Both touchdowns, of course, to Tyler Kropp. Now, let me say this, because I know there's going to be some that say, well, it's against Packers backups. And, of course, you have to take that into account. Against the Giants, they didn't play a bunch of their key defensive players as well. But you know for sure, if Zach Wilson had struggled, all the Fields fanboys, all the Jets haters would be coming out and declaring Zach Wilson a bust. So when he goes out there and has looked as good as he has so far through the first 2 games of the preseason, he deserves credit for that. No one's putting Zach Wilson into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but let's talk about what he's done so far. He has looked smart with the ball, decisive. He's done a nice job taking care of the football. He has not looked like a rookie quarterback. He has not looked like a guy where the moment was too big for him. Look at his numbers now in the scope of the first 2 preseason games. I have them right here in front of me. 15 of 20 overall, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the key stat here, guys, no interceptions and no sacks. So he's done a good job getting rid of the football and not turning the ball over, avoiding the pass rush. And how about this for a stat about Zach Wilson? His 137.7 passer rating this preseason is first among all quarterbacks. So we could say preseason means nothing, but you know what? When you're a rookie and you're looking to get experience early on, Zach Wilson looks like he's ready to be an NFL quarterback. There are some guys that come in and they don't look like they're ready to start right away. Zach Wilson looks like he's clearly ready to start right away, and I've been really encouraged by what we have seen so far from him. I think something to point out as well is that he was 5 of 5 for 94 yards and a touchdown on throws of 10-plus yards so far this preseason, according to Next Gen Stats. So you're talking about a guy that goes out there and is able to make big plays on 3rd and long, and that's how you win in the NFL. Some of the throws that he's made in the preseason to Corey Davis have been really impressive. The throw on the opening drive against Green Bay on 3rd and 8. Go look at Dan Orlovsky's breakdown on his Twitter account on what the Jets did on that play. Wilson identifying the coverage, Wilson identifying Corey Davis's route would be open, and then just doing a 3-step back hitch and delivering the ball on time. That was impressive stuff for a rookie quarterback. And you look at Wilson on Saturday, he was 3 of 3 for 69 yards with that touchdown to Tyler Kropp on throws of 10-plus yards downfield. That's how you win in the NFL. You got to be able to hit throws of medium to long distance. Wilson has looked sharp so far during this preseason. And look, all you can ask for from a guy like Zach Wilson this year is that he gets better as the year goes on. You want to see a guy take a big step in his development. I think early on here, we have seen some real positive signs of Zach Wilson so far in the preseason, and that should be very encouraging. As far as how long we see Zach Wilson play on Friday against the Eagles, I don't want him to play that much. If he plays a quarter, I'm okay with that. The last thing they need, obviously, is for him to get hurt. He looks pretty good to me. Obviously, that will be a decision that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh make as far as playing time. But, so far, so good. It was nice to see him play, basically that first half against the Green Bay Packers on Saturday. He looked great, and he deserves a lot of credit. He's decisive, has not turned the ball over, and just looks comfortable, and that's all you could hope for a rookie quarterback that's been anointed as the starter, right? There's no real competition for Zach Wilson being the starting quarterback for the Jets. And that, to me, is how it should be. None of this rinky-dink operation going on in Jacksonville where Urban Meyer is taking away first-team reps from Trevor Lawrence because they want to let Gardner Minshew compete for the starting job. There's just no point, right? Play your franchise quarterback because the guy was the first overall pick. Jets have said, Wilson, you're our guy. We're going to put you out there, and we're going to have you be the guy from day one. And just look at the Jets offense that they're running. Like the way LaFleur is scheming things open, right? Guys in motion. I mentioned that throw to Corey Davis on the 3rd and 8 at the beginning of the drive. I mean, did you notice the tight end in motion before the play? The last couple of years with Gase, you never saw guys in motion, right? I mean, that putting guys in motion allows the quarterback to figure out if the defense is in man or zone. The Jets knew Green Bay was playing man, and Corey Davis had a soft spot in the man-to-man coverage, and Wilson hit him in stride. I mean, like things like this just were not done last year and the year before with the Jets, and it's going to allow a quarterback to have some easier throws and allow that guy, in this case, Zach Wilson, to get comfortable and get into a rhythm. And then when we saw Wilson get comfortable, he started to make plays with his legs outside the pocket. The throw on the run to the outside was a dart to Corey Davis for a huge completion. I mean, one thing we do know so far is that the chemistry between Wilson and Corey Davis is already there. And that's huge for this Jets team because the Jets believe they're getting Corey Davis as he enters into his prime right now. And I tend to agree based on what we've seen so far. Davis, 4 for 70 against the Packers, 2 for 18 against the Giants. So he's almost at 100 receiving yards on 6 catches in 2 games so far in limited action, of course, with the Jets. So that is very encouraging if you're obviously hoping for a big season from Corey Davis. And then I can't wait to see what this offense eventually looks like when you get Elijah Moore back in the mix. You're not going to be able to double all these guys. There's going to be guys that get open. The way that the Jets West Coast offense is designed, there'll be some easy completions, chunk yardage. Very excited to see, what this Jets offense continues to look like as we get closer and closer to the regular season. But overall, I mean, the storyline, Zach Wilson, he's going to be the storyline all year. I think if you're a Jet fan, you should be very encouraged based on what we have seen so far from Zach. Once again, put it in perspective. It is still just preseason, but if he was playing poorly, people would be hammering him, and that would be unfair. So, I've been very encouraged. I've liked what I've seen so far. And look, I got my jersey ready to go, so I'm ready for week 1. There's no doubt about that. Other things from this game just to hit on here, right? We'll get to the report of the Jets going after a pass rusher in just a moment. But things that I liked in this game, Matt Amendola, I mean, the Jets kicker, he is their kicker. You deliver a 54-yard field goal in the first quarter on the road at Lambeau Field, and your first opportunity to be the guy, well, guess what? You're the guy. So Matt Amendola, congrats on winning the Jets kicking job. As long as he doesn't implode against the Eagles this week, I think he's the guy. I mean, that field goal probably would have been good from 60-plus yards out. He obviously had 2 more field goals after that, did not miss an extra point. I think you should be very encouraged by what we saw there. Also, one of the things that I liked in this game from the Jets here is that, you saw kind of early on what their plan is going to be to try and replace Carl Lawson, right? They're going to use a bunch of different guys. They use multiple players at the right end. Bryce Huff, Ronald Blair, who's making his first appearance in a game since 2019. Bryce Huff, to me, has been the guy, but clearly the Jets defense was not very good in this first half when the starters were out there. And then you get the report from Adam Schefter that the Jets are going to be looking to try and upgrade at pass rusher. There's not a whole lot out there to be realistic about the options. You could try and bring in Olivier Vernon, who was very good last year, but he's also coming off a torn Achilles tendon. And the reason why he's not signed yet is probably because teams don't think he's necessarily ready. So that could be a cause for concern for the Jets. I mean, there's some other guys out there that used to be good. I mean, the name I want is Chandler Jones. Now, I don't know how realistic that is. Chandler Jones is 30. He doesn't necessarily fit the timeline for where the Jets are at as far as rebuilding. But I say, you know what? Go out there and get him if you can. At least make the phone call because maybe Arizona just wants to unload him because they don't feel like extending his contract. I mean, Chandler Jones only played in 5 games last year. He got hurt, only had 1 sack. But the year before, he had 19 sacks. The year before that, 13. Year before that, 17. He's one of the most underrated pass rushers we've had in the NFL in a decade. He never gets the respect among the elite pass rushers in the league for whatever reason. Maybe part of that is because Arizona has been so bad. I'd love it. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I think if you're the Jets, you at least consider it because you have all these extra draft picks. You might as well use some of them on a guy that could really elevate your defense this year if the Jets think he's a scheme fit. Now, he's been an outside linebacker in the Arizona defense. With the Jets in a 4-3, he'd be on the he'd be on the edge. So there could be an option there. He doesn't necessarily fit the timeline, but it's something to consider when you have all these picks. Like you trade the second round pick you got for Sam Darnold, you turn that into Chandler Jones, and it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'm just floating that out there as a possibility. Now, some updates here from the Jets. This is from Robert Saleh's press conference a little while ago. Quinnen Williams will be increased to 20 practice reps per day this week. He was at 10 to 12 last week. So Quinnen is coming along. And I want to note that because a lot of people talking about the Jets defense didn't play well against Green Bay. And that's definitely true. But here's the thing. Quinnen Williams wasn't out there. So that makes a big difference when you talk about a defensive line, not stopping the run, not getting a rush, right? Quinnen Williams is out there. Maybe Green Bay with a third-string quarterback doesn't go right down the field like they did in that first half against the Jets defense. Plus, Vinny Curry's not out there. You're still missing key guys on that defense. So, I'm not going to freak out just yet. I don't think you should freak out at all because there's just so much time between now and the season. You got to let Robert Saleh scheme with the players he has, develop the players they have. Bad note for the Jets here. Jarrad Davis, the injury that he suffered in the game, Jarrad Davis, his injury is going to keep him out about 2 months, according to Robert Saleh. The Jets are targeting the week 6 bye week for Jarrad Davis to come back. So, that's a big blow because they're thin at linebacker as is. C.J. Mosley's back, but you're talking about a guy that obviously, opted out last year, missed most of 2019. So you're already thin at the linebacker spot. I mean, you have Sherwood and you have Eifler, 2 rookies that are on that, in that linebacker depth chart. Blake Cashman, I like as a player, but he's a guy that's missed a lot of time, obviously, so far in his Jets career. So that's a big blow because I thought Davis was an underrated signing by the Jets this offseason. So the injury bug has already hit this team, as we all know, but it is what it is. You got to find a way to win games and get it done. Hopefully this week we see Elijah Vera-Tucker back at practice. It would be great to have him and the rest of the starting O-line at least play a series against the Philadelphia Eagles next week. Joint practices against the Eagles this week as well, so we'll see how the Jets handle it. I mean, you talk about injury blows against the Packers in joint practices. Hopefully nothing like that happens against the Eagles this week. All right, so those are some thoughts on the game. Obviously, once again, the big story is certainly Zach Wilson. Let's start with the Q&A portion of the video. Write in anything, comments, questions. I'll try and hit on a few here as we wrap up for a Monday program. David writes in, impressed with Wilson. David, how could you not be? Because he looked good, he looked sharp, he looked decisive. I think if you're a Jet fan, you should feel good about where your young quarterback is at so far. No one's putting him in the Hall of Fame. Although, funny story, Jet fans. So I tweeted out the video of Wilson's throw to Tyler Kropp, the first touchdown of Wilson's Jet career. First, meaning doesn't count, but you get the point. And I wrote, Zach Wilson to Canton, confirmed. You know who liked the tweet? Mike Wilson, Zach's dad, who actually follows me on Twitter. So good to see the Wilson family has a good sense of humor there. Drew writes in, thoughts on signing and trading for Brandon Graham. It's an option because of the Douglas connection, although I don't know at this stage how the Jets view Brandon Graham. So to be determined on that. Jason writes in, Jones doesn't fit the timeline. He regressed last year, and he's better fit into the 3-4. That is the type of move Mike McCagnon would have made. Now, it depends on what Chandler Jones would cost because Arizona doesn't want to sign him. So if the Jets wanted to take him on, it might not cost as much because the Jets would then, in theory, have to give him some sort of extension. He regressed last year, but that's a bit tough. I mean, he only played 5 games, so it's tough to say for sure if he totally regressed. He got hurt. So that kind of changes things, and I don't know where he's at as far as his health and how the Jets view him as a potential fit. Rowe writes in, I haven't seen Elijah Moore when the lights turn on yet. This offense is going to be electric. Now, Rowe, I agree. The Jets offense is going to be vastly improved. It's going to be exciting. But let me just say this. It's still an offense with a lot of young players on it. There's going to be growing pains. Your coordinator has never been a coordinator before. Your quarterback's a rookie. You have a lot of young players all over the roster. There's going to be games where the Jets suck. There just is. Zach Wilson's a rookie. Put that in perspective. As great as Justin Herbert was last year, there were some games where he stunk. Go look at the game against the Patriots. He was awful. So it's going to happen. But I do think the Jets are a vastly improved football team. And Elijah Moore, we're going to be talking about him as one of these steals of the draft. The fact that he lasted until pick 34 of the second round is it's pretty unbelievable. Aaron, can you teach ZW how to do hard counts? get the defensive line, the jump off sides, and get a free play. Yeah, that'd be nice if Aaron Wilson could share if Aaron Rodgers could share some of those secrets to Zach Wilson. There's no doubt about that. Now, it was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys caught this. It was all over Twitter, but it was actually airing during the game on the Packers broadcast. So they interviewed Aaron Rodgers during the Jets-Packers preseason game, and they asked Aaron about Zach Wilson, and Aaron was glowing about Zach Wilson, said he's a great kid. His arm talent jumps off the charts. He could really throw the rock. He's got the right personality. He asked the right questions. I warned him about playing on a bad football team, that your footwork has to be really good early because you're going to be dealing with a lot of bleep that's coming at you. I mean, really just honest and good stuff from Aaron Rodgers talking about Zach Wilson. And, that's got to be pretty cool for Zach, considering that he talked about the fact that Aaron Rodgers was his favorite quarterback growing up. So good stuff there from Rodgers on Wilson. Hopefully 20 years from now, those pictures those guys took at joint practices and those pictures that came out, after the game when they're shaking hands on Saturday, hopefully we look back at those photos and we're like, man, how cool is that? End of Aaron Rodgers' Hall of Fame career, beginning of Zach Wilson's Hall of Fame career. Wouldn't that be nice, right? We can only hope. Is there any possible upcoming free agents you would want on the Jets? Look, there's just not a whole lot out there. I mean, this late in the process here, you're not talking about a bunch of guys that are going to, be drastic impact players for your defense. You're going to have to hope some of the depth the Jets have and some of the young players they have really step up. I mean, you look at some of the options out there. I mentioned Olivier Verdon, Everson Griffin, but he's 33 years old, and I don't know how good he'll be. Trent Murphy, who's been with the Bills the last couple of years, but he wasn't that good last year. I mean, you're talking about maybe some depth signings. Adrian Claiborne is another name that's out there. I mean, he was with Jeff Ulbrich in Atlanta for a couple of years. Ezekiel Ansah, he was with the Niners last season, so there's a connection there with Robert Saleh. But I don't know. He's not a guy that I think is going to make a drastic impact. I do think the Jets bring someone in, but I'm not expecting, the level of play that they're going to need to make up for one player in Carl Lawson. I don't think that's going to happen at all. Too early to get excited about Wilson? No, of course not. He's the key to this season, right? He's what's going to make this season fun. If the Jets lose games, but Wilson plays well, I'm not going to sit here and say you won't be upset, but I don't have playoff expectations for this team. Right, the Chargers went 7-9 last year, and all 7 Charger fans are pumped about the future of their team. I kid. I know Chargers have very good fans in San Diego, but a lot of them didn't even follow the team to LA because they're disgusted with ownership taking them there. But you get the point. Like, the Charger fan is excited about their future because even though they went 7-9, they feel like they have their franchise quarterback. So if we leave this year as Jet fans feeling like Wilson's the guy, then I could live with some close losses if Wilson plays really well. It's almost like when the Jets at the end of 2018 were playing well with Sam. Remember Sam versus Aaron Rodgers in that game at MetLife? Back and forth, high scoring. Sam played so well in that game. Yeah, I was bummed the Jets lost, but whatever. Another game closer to Todd Bowles getting canned and, another game where you felt like you had the guy in Sam Darnold. So it's all putting things in perspective here. Do you think the trend of success under Jets first-year head coaches continues? Well, I mean, Adam Gase went, 7-9 in his first year. So I guess he was the outlier there, but there's no doubt trends with Jets first year head coaches even going back to like Herm Edwards, playoffs, Mangini in 06, playoffs, Rex Ryan in 09, AFC title game, Todd Bowles in 2015, 10-6, but they collapsed in week 17. I think the Jets will have success this year, depending on how you look at it. They won 2 games a year ago. I've said this a lot on the show. They win 6 games this year. You're talking about a team that then would have tripled their win total, to put it in perspective. So that's kind of all you need to know. I think the Jets are vastly improved, but are they a playoff team? I'm not willing to go there just yet. Michael writes in, do you think Zach will play in the next preseason game or be rested? Robert Saleh said earlier in the week that the Jets are going to play their guys, at least for a little bit, in the third preseason game. And because the third preseason game comes with 2 weeks to spare before the regular season, I could see the Jets playing their guys for at least a little bit in this game. My preference, 1 series, if that. I don't really need to see that much more from Zach Wilson. Put him in bubble wrap. They need this guy healthy for the regular season. That's the most important thing, for this team, obviously, going forward. Jordan, should the Jets go for a guy like Ziggy Ansah on a team-friendly 1-year deal? Yeah, I briefly just mentioned that, Jordan. I know you probably wrote this in before I even mentioned it. If you bring him in, great. I'm not expecting him to have, that significant of an impact here. I mean, you need depth. There's no Chandler Jones that's a free agent, and there's obviously no Carl Lawson that's a free agent. So it's going to be on Jets to scheme around things to try and maximize their talent. Rich writes in 7 wins. I think it's possible. I mean, there's an extra game in the schedule, and you look at the Jets' schedule in general. It's not like they're facing a murderer's row of quarterbacks. They're really not. There's a lot of winnable games, especially early on. You get a game against Carolina week 1. You get Denver on the schedule. New England could be playing a rookie quarterback by the time you play them for the second time. Obviously, Miami and Tua, we'll find out what he is, but usually the Jets and Dolphins play to a split anyway in that rivalry. There's no murderer's row on the schedule this year. So, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Jets are going 17-0. But I do think they're going to be in a lot of games. And, if you're good on special teams and your quarterback takes care of the ball, you'll have a chance to steal some of those games. And I think the Jets maybe have a kicker. And I think the Jets obviously have a quarterback that they feel confident in. So we shall see. Question here from Roberto. I'm in agreement with your sentiments. Many team deals with injuries. We pray for the injured players for a healthy recovery. The young rookies get an opportunity to step up. And that's the thing with the Lawson injury. Everyone's saying, season's over. That implies the Jets had like a Super Bowl expectation or a playoff expectation. The season's not over. This is a developmental season. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Jets can't surprise everyone and sneak into the playoffs. It depends on the performance of Zach Wilson and some of the other young players on this team. But what I am going to tell you is this. It's a big blow for the defense. There's no doubt. But there's a lot of other young players that are going to get the experience this year. If this happened in 2022, I would feel a lot worse about the injury. And I feel bad about it because I love Carl Lawson and think he's going to be really good. But, that implies that this, season's over. That implies that there were really high expectations for this team when I think most rational Jet fans understand what this season is right now. What's your receiver order, 1 through 4? Corey Davis is 1. I would say when Elijah Moore is back, he will eventually be 2. He might even be number 1 by the end of it. Keelan Cole's going to play a role, and I think Jamison Crowder. I think that would be your top 4 so far. So, it could flip-flop based on matchups. I've been outspoken on this. I think by the end of the season, Elijah Moore will be looked at as the Jets' best offensive weapon. I just think he's going to be, that good. So, ultimately, I think those that's your early receiver ranking. But this is not, anything that is final. I think a lot of it will depend on matchups and it depend on, just how quickly some of the young players on this team come along, including a guy like Elijah Moore, who already looked like the Jets' best offensive player before he went down with a quad injury. So you got to put everything in perspective. Connor writes in, the commentator during the Packers game was saying the Jets might be a lot better than a lot of fans expect. I think a lot of people nationally have not paid attention to what the Jets have done this offseason. I still host a national radio show on Sports Map Radio, but when I was doing it every day and just hearing from different fans around the country, the idea that the Jets just still stink, I don't buy it. I'm not sitting here and telling you they're a playoff team, but 1, they're going to be better coached. 2, they have vastly better players, and 3, they have a young quarterback with upside. So if teams overlook the Jets, as CJ Mosley was talking about, they're going to get smacked because the Jets are going to come out there and they're going to have a chance to steal some games here. So I think they are a lot better than people tend to think. I'm not going to sit here and say the expectation is Super Bowl by any means, but this is a team that is upgraded basically at every position. And when you upgrade at coaching alone can steal you a couple of extra games. Let's look at the Jets last year, right? They won 2 games. How many games can I point to and say if Adam Gase / Greg Williams were not coaching them, the Jets probably win more than just 2? The one that's obvious is the last play against the Raiders. They should have won that game, but they sent the Kachunga blitz and left Lamar Jackson on an island, at the very last play, and they lost at the buzzer there. So that's just one game, but the 2 Patriot games where the Jets collapsed, better coaching, they might steal that game. There were multiple games where if the Jets were just better coached, maybe they win. Go back to that Denver game on Thursday night as well. That was a joke. I think the Jets had like 4 or 5 turnovers, and they didn't even win. People are going to look really stupid when they continue to bash the Jets because when Wilson goes out there and starts slinging the rock and looks like he's a potential Rookie of the Year candidate, it's going to make people have to eat their words, and I certainly look forward to that happening. I just hope Wilson stays healthy going forward. Sam Acho has been talking a lot of trash about the Jets on ESPN. Is Sam Acho even on ESPN? I think it's Emmanuel Acho on FS1. Just dumb take after dumb take saying how the Jets are bad and they'll always be bad. Laziness. Now, look, I will say this. Emmanuel Acho said that the Bears could be a Super Bowl team with Andy Dalton as their quarterback. So I rest my case. You watch Andy Dalton against the Buffalo Bills on Saturday. Yeah, that game was certainly ugly. So overall, Jet fans, you tell me your thoughts in the comments as I wrap up this video. Are you encouraged from what you've seen so far in the preseason and specifically from Zach Wilson? Thanks to everyone who caught this live. We got over 100 people in right now. I greatly appreciate you. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please like this video if you already subscribed. We'll continue with the Daily Jets content and the Daily Jets videos. Once again, my name is Jake Asman. Thanks for watching the show. Have a great Monday, everybody. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.